It's been a little over a year since I decided to chase my dreams as a concept art student, and a lot has happened since then. There's been highs, there's been lows, in fact, a lot more lows than I expected or would like to admit.
I'm so tired. I haven't slept in days.
With the year coming to an end and just one more term of art school left, I thought I would share a little bit of an honest life update on what's been happening behind the camera and where I am at the moment.
Just gonna have to deal with it for now. It's a little over a year, and honestly I still can't believe how much time has passed since I moved and how much has changed, not just in my environment but my mindset from back then, moving here excited to like start this new adventure of an art student living in Montreal, and eventually questioning all my decisions, staying up late crying in bed, and a lot more dramatic post-adulting realizations that this shit isn't going to be as easy as I thought. I don't know how this video is gonna go. It's not scripted or anything. I can have a few bullet points that I wrote down just so I can try not to like go off topic, but for the most part I have no idea how this video is gonna go. But yeah, I basically just want to share my thoughts and my experience so far for my entire 1 year since I moved to Montreal as an art student, and what has been going on in my life all that time that I've kind of been off camera, because as you can tell I haven't really been posting as consistent. Well, when have I ever actually been consistent? But anyways, I digress once again. You see, this is why I have bullet points. My point is, what was my point? Gosh, this video is off to a great start, isn't it? I've been rambling on and on, but if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Oge, also known as Neddy on YouTube, Instagram. Neddy is my nickname. I'm a concept art student at Sin Studio, and I've been a concept art student for about a year now, a little over a year. In the past, I made videos on my journey as a self-taught artist, but at some point in my journey, I decided art school was the next direction that I had to take. I explained why in a full video that I will link below, so you can see the reason why I came to art school, the reason why I made that decision in the first place. I just want to make it clear that I know how privileged I am to have such an amazing opportunity to be in art school, let alone abroad. Everyone's journey is different, and I'm just so thankful and glad that I'm able to be in a position where I can have this as an opportunity. I'm in no way trying to complain or make it seem like my life isn't good and I hate my life. That's not true at all. It's just that like everyone goes through struggles and we all face different challenges, and that doesn't make anyone's like situation any less valid from others, and that's just what I want to say before I go on. So it's not like I'm complaining. I know how privileged I am, and I really appreciate that. I'm really grateful, and like I said, till now I don't regret making that decision. I feel like this was definitely the right path for me for various reasons. Like I mentioned some of them in the video, and even coming here I realized there's a lot more like valid reasons to come here. So, but of course, like every decision in life, it's always has its ups and downs, and there are some things that I just I did not take into consideration, and I didn't think this was gonna be as difficult as it is, or you know. The past few terms have been a lot for me. I really struggled in so many different ways, mentally, with my art, physically, and gosh, it was difficult, and I just wanted to talk a bit more about that and like tell you guys what's up, where I am now, and what I'm planning to do in the future, and how I'm planning to like evolve from my current situation, and how I'm planning to grow and learn from all the experiences that I faced so far. It all started after coming to Canada. Of course, I'm from Nigeria. This was my first time moving to Canada all alone, and like, you know, trying to start this new artist journey. I was very excited, but that first few weeks, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, wasn't easy for me. It was difficult trying to find a place, trying to adjust, trying to like balance school and, you know, all these new things that I never had to consider before, and all this new like in this new space that I've never been to before, this new lifestyle that I'm not familiar with. It was quite difficult, but I was eventually able to move past all that. I found a place, this beautiful apartment. First term was kind of good for me. I think after finding an apartment, I was able to settle down and kind of just like get into the flow of things. Other than being homesick, missing my partner and my family, I kind of was able to just go through it. I was on schedule with my classwork. I did everything fine. Everything was fine. And I thought I just needed some time to, settle in to like the new space, the new country before I would eventually get back on my feet, because things did feel different. It didn't feel exactly how I thought it would feel, but I thought I would just eventually settle in and everything would work out fine. Boy, was I wrong. After first term, things kind of just went downhill from there. Really downhill. Really downhill. Second term started and I thought I thought this was gonna be my term. And I don't want to use this as an excuse, but I strongly do believe it was a huge catalyst to my entire downfall. My iPad that I had been using for most of all my work decided to crash on me out of the blue. Like, it just died on me. At that point, I wasn't planning on changing an iPad. I wasn't familiar with Photoshop yet, so I kind of fell behind on most of my work while trying to find a new iPad. And I did not have the funds to just easily get a new iPad right off the bat. Thankfully, I eventually was able to get a new iPad. But by that time, I was kind of already really behind on a bunch of my schoolwork. And I will not lie, it was very difficult trying to catch up. And maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have just focused on doing what I needed to do at that point, because I was trying to catch up as well as do my current homework. And it was a lot. It was really a lot, especially because most of the work we're doing that term were like works that were out of my comfort zone, like environments and architecture and stuff. Yeah, it kind of just threw me off, really. But not only that, somewhere along the line, I started having doubts about this entire thing, whether I made the right choice, whether I actually deserve to be in the program. Sitting in class in the midst of all my very talented classmates that all seemed very excited to be there, and they were making all this amazing artwork, it kind of just made me feel out of place because I was not as excited. I kind of felt like I had lost touch. I kind of felt like I was behind on everyone. And I kind of saw that in my work too. I felt like my work wasn't, up to par with the rest of my classmates. And I started to get imposter syndrome. I started to feel overwhelmed. I started to feel like, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. And on top of all of that, I was very stressed about the whole new Quebec laws with the international students, staying behind and postgraduate work permit, all that stuff. And because of all that, the pressure of having to find a job right after graduation kind of peaked. I was like, oh shit, if I don't find a job right after school, it's over for me. That pressure made it so difficult for me to actually create anything that I cared about, because I was always thinking, is this good enough? Is this gonna get me a job? Is this cool enough? Do people like this? Is this what the industry needs? And I kind of just lost focus of the initial reason I went there, which was to improve and to learn and to have an amazing experience. I lost track of all that, and I was just so fixated on trying to make a portfolio, make work that was industry ready. And I felt all this pressure and stress and anxiety. In the past, I was never really the kind of person who got overwhelmed or intimidated by looking at amazing art. In fact, it was the opposite. I would want to make art as good as that. It would inspire me. After coming here, it wasn't the same. I would look at art and literally shake. I wouldn't want to see art. I wouldn't want to hear anything about art. If I pick up my pencil or my stylus, I would feel this anxiety. That's when I knew there was a problem. A really bad problem. It was difficult to explain to my parents, explain to classmates what I was facing, because I felt this constant feeling of guilt. Who am I to feel this way? People want to be in my position. I'm an art student, for crying out loud. I kept feeling like I didn't have the right to feel that way, simply because I was in a position that I always wanted to be in and I worked so hard to be in. So why am I sad, right? Why am I crying every day in bed contemplating my life choices, right, when I'm only 23? Being vulnerable on the internet is one thing, but it's also difficult for me to be vulnerable in real life. It's even difficult to be vulnerable and open to my parents and family members when I'm struggling. I kind of pretended that I was doing fine, and I wasn't. Don't do that, please. And I was trying to convince myself that it was all in my head, and which it technically was, but not in the way that I was trying to convince myself. I was trying to convince myself that I'm fine when I wasn't fine, rather than acknowledging what I was going through and trying to talk to people about it and try to find solutions. I constantly told myself that I just had to push through it. And that's what I did. The more I kept pushing, the worse it became, I would have phases where I was good, I was up on my game, I was ready to take the world. And then I had stages where I felt extremely freaking low. And as I kept pushing and as time kept passing by, I noticed that this time period started to like change. And then the period that I would feel like happy became smaller, and the period that I would feel like sad got bigger and more difficult to deal with. During those periods, it was difficult to create anything, to work on art, to actually even just get up from my bed and like go to class. And I fell behind on lots of my coursework. I fell behind on lots of my homework, and it literally wasn't because I didn't want to. It was literally because I just couldn't, and I wasn't able to do anything. And I had this like crippling anxiety every time I had to do anything at all, and I couldn't even talk to my parents about it. Gosh, I was so stupid. And for the first time in a while, I wasn't able to see a future for myself, which is weird because I'm very, very vision oriented. I kind of always like thinking about, okay, what's next? What am I doing? This is what I always saw myself. Like ever since I was a little kid, I could always be like, yeah, as a grown up, I'm this and this. It was just always like how I worked. But anytime I tried to even see myself in 1 year, like if you would ask me, where do you see yourself in 1 year? I would literally see black. Nothing. I couldn't visualize anything. So second term, horrible. Third term, horrible. Fourth term, barely survived. And the anxiety grew even worse when it was time to work on my graduation projects, because I had this mindset that like, if this project isn't the best, if it isn't perfect, I'm not going to get a job. And I just kept believing that this entire program defined me as an artist, and if I wasn't able to make it work, it was over for me. I kind of reflected on things. I reflected on my entire experience, and one of my teachers, he asked me one simple question: what do you want to take out of this program? And that's when I finally realized how much I've been hurting myself. I mean, after everything I did to get here, all the excitement I felt, why am I intentionally sabotaging myself? Why am I intentionally not making myself enjoy the experience and learn? I mean, I remember how excited I was to begin this program. I remember how much I worked hard to get here. All of a sudden, because of like all these stupid thoughts, I let myself forget the main reason I came to the school in the first place. I had a total mindset shift. I eventually decided to talk to my partner, talk to my parents, talk to people who actually care about me, classmates and friends. And as I started talking to people, I started changing my mindset, and eventually it kind of clicked. And this was just like a few weeks back, right? It kind of clicked. You know, right now, things might not work out exactly how I originally intended, you know, but that's fine because life isn't a linear path. Even next year, you might hear me taking a totally different path. The main thing is I focus on my goal, and as long as I'm headed towards that goal, it doesn't matter how it goes, whether I get a job right after school or I don't get a job and I have to do something else. It's all part of like the journey, and it's all part of the highs and the lows. The most important thing is that you're able to, you know, realize when you have to adapt and just try to stay focused and enjoy the experience rather than let the experience overwhelm you. At this point, I'm kind of at a satisfactory mindset. I don't feel the need to have to impress or make a portfolio that is industry worthy. In fact, like I'm done stressing over that stuff. Right now, my main goal is to make the most of the rest of the 6 months I have of this program. After changing my mindset this way, I've already seen so much improvement since this term began. And I've seen an improvement in my work because I'm no longer stressing over about it. I'm just 10 times better. I feel 10 times better. This is the first time since I actually came here 1 year ago that I'm actually starting to enjoy the program. This has nothing to do with the actual program. Sin is an amazing school. That's not the problem. It was more of a mental thing that I had to overcome. Everything I've said so far, I already know this is how I expected the video to go. I barely looked down on my iPad at the notes. I don't even know if I'm forgetting anything. Regardless, I still wanted to share what's been on my mind because it feels like I've been lying. I was so embarrassed to admit that I was struggling and things weren't working how I thought, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I'm able to actually share and be honest and transparent. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of growing. And at the end of the day, that's what made the entire journey worth it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, And I'm looking forward to the new experience. I kind of see it as I'm closing this chapter of like struggles and frustration, and with this new mindset, I'm starting afresh and starting this new chapter in a new place and seeing what life has planned for me. Hopefully good things and positive things, but regardless, I'll be ready to take it on the challenge and overcome it and step out of it better, stronger, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. Bye.